photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they are so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing color.
I'm Mark Rizzetto from the Professional Photography Business Network.
A vibrant community from all around the world who's here to supercharge your business growth.
This is not an expensive one-size-fits-all course.
PPBN is a network,
an online educational platform with training and resources to suit everyone.
from those just starting out to the seasoned pros.
You can tailor your journey to suit your individual business needs and challenges, all at your own pace.
And there's new content added every week. But success is only part of the experience.
To us, community is super important, as we all know business can be lonely.
So join us today. PPBN is your unfair advantage. Let's do this.
Hello and welcome to the judging of the documentary category for the 2026 Australian Photographic Prize. I'm Sarah Edmonds, your panel mentor for this session. Thank you for joining us. We hope you enjoy seeing some wonderful documentary images being judged today. I'm here today on behalf of our competition director, Daniel Bingham, and our director of judging, Chris Anderson. Behind the scenes, we also have Nathan, our broadcast producer, and Mel Sinclair, our scribe. We'd like to thank our sponsors for their contributions to the prize. A huge thank you to our major sponsor, Nikon Australia, who are awarding our overall Australian winner, Nikon product valued at up to $5,000. Thank you also to ISO for providing the Australian runner-up prize of a Color Edge CS2731 valued at $2,000. And our overall international winner wins a 12-month membership to the Professional Photographers Business Network, valued at $1,000. So thank you, PPBN. Today we're here to judge the top 32 images in the documentary category. These are images telling authentic visual stories of events such as daily life, newsworthy incidents, parties, births, funerals, and other significant life events. And this must be a single capture. So images must not be staged, contrived, recreated, or manipulated in any way, that alters the truth of the scene. In today's judging session, our expert panel of judges will assess each image, scoring each image out of 100 with a comment for each, and in some cases a challenge where we discuss the image in more detail and then we rescore. When our session is complete, the next stage is closed door judging, where the panel determines the winner from our highest scoring images by secret ballot. Our winner, second and third place Australian image, along with the winning international image, will be revealed at our live awards ceremony on August the 13th. In a moment, we will introduce you to our judging panel for today, but first up, let's have a look at the top 32 images in documentary. Take it away, Mel Sinclair. Okay. So yeah, they look amazing, and this is going to be a great category. So let's meet our judging panel, drawn from Australia and around the world. Starting with Christopher, would you like to introduce yourself?
I've been a professional photographer since 1981, and this is genuinely the category that is the most important to me. It reflects our real life expectations, our history. When I think of legendary Australian photographer Rennie Ellis, he took a photo of the Jesselinko mark in the 1970 grand final at the MCG. 120,000 people saw it, stood and cheered. Since that day, millions have seen his photo. That's how important this is.
Great, thank you so much. Francis, would you like to say a word?
Yes, good evening. Frances Suter. I am from Brisbane, sunny Queensland, where I run a fine art portrait studio. I spend most of my time photographing people, families, children, and also their beloved pets. I'm also an educator. Outside of the studio, I'm very passionate about landscape and travel photography. I love to explore new places. I am very drawn to documentary photography, as I believe strongly that storytelling can be found everywhere, in portrait, in landscape, in travel. So I am absolutely delighted to be on tonight's panel, and I can't wait to see what you've created.
Thank you so much. James.
Hi, I'm James Musway. I'm a portrait photographer from Portsmouth in the UK. You've probably not heard of me. This is my sixth appointment with judging at the Australian Photographic Prize in 2026, and we have saved the best till last. This is documentary. It's funny, when we were judging the newborn category earlier in the week, there were some images that came up. We said, wouldn't it be nice if this had some flaws in it? Well, this is really, really cool, because documentary requires no refinement in Photoshop. This is as the camera sees, and the camera never lies. And it's for that reason that I'm very glad that last night, for the first time in this entire judging process, I found my glasses, so I'll be able to see everything nice and close and in focus for the first time in 6 attempts. Let's go.
Thank you, James. Johannes?
Yes, I've been photographing for about 40 years now, and I kind of started in documentary as a newspaper photographer, and that brought me into a style of wedding photography that was documentary as well. And I just love the fact that there's so many stories to be told, and these images that I've seen so far tonight, they're just full of rich stories and things to say. So I'm looking forward to judging these.
Wonderful. Lisa.
Hi everyone, Lisa Kurtz here. I'm a Brisbane Meanjin-based photo, video and projection artist. I'm a graduate of the Queensland College of Art, and I've just recently completed 5 years teaching contemporary photo media at Central Queensland University. In addition to my art practice, I spent a number of years shooting a rather adjacent genre or a subgenre, if you like, street photography. So I absolutely love documentary photography. I'm really excited to work with my fellow judges because I think we work as a team and we all bring something to the understanding and the interpretation and really as a team, what we do is try to get the best result for your work. And I would like to thank the entrants for trusting us with their work this evening. So very much looking forward to judging tonight.
Beautiful words. Thank you. Mark.
Yeah, hi, I'm Mark Zed, South Australian-based commercial and advertising photographer. I've spent 20 years telling stories of my clients and of products and people and the like. And it's a real pleasure to judge the documentary category because it's an opportunity to see so many different stories and insights into life presented from various different points of view. And what a bunch of images. I just can't wait to get on and start judging this evening.
I know it's everybody's so excited. It's so great to see. Matthew.
Good evening, everyone, or good morning, wherever you're tuning in from. Matthew Vasilescu. I have had a camera in my hand and been photographing since the very late 1980s and started in a darkroom with chemistry and film for around a decade. So documentary is something that's very, very close to my heart and the beginnings of what we all did and do in photography, which is truth-telling. And I'm really looking forward to judging this group of images with these wonderful people tonight.
Thank you so much. And Mel, as our scribe, would you like to introduce yourself as well?
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. I'm Mel. I'm a artist working in photography. I'm from Ipswich in Queensland. You'll catch me on a variety of industry panels throughout Australia, contributing because I love volunteering and I love our photography industry. I'm currently working towards an exhibition I have in 3 months' time at the Ipswich Community Gallery. And my connection to the documentary category is I came second in this category last year. So good luck to the entrants. Looking forward to seeing what you've submitted and reading your titles and captions.
Fantastic, thank you. And just a quick intro of myself as well, in case you don't know me. I'm Sarah Edmonds, and although I've been a documentary wedding photographer for 15 years, even though most of my work is online, is fashion and fine art. But yeah, I'm a 95% documentary wedding photographer as well. So I'm honored to be here. And just a quick note, if you're watching the judges while we're doing the judging, if you see the judges turning away and looking elsewhere, they're not checking out or doing online shopping. They're actually looking at the images on their calibrated monitors. So now that you've met the panel, let's get into judges. So judging, judges, are you all ready? I'm going to have to start off on the panel, Christopher, Francis, James, Johannes, Lisa. Okay. Are we ready for the first image?
Absolutely. Okay, good evening. The title of this image is About to Win, and our contact statement, Magic Millions run an annual race on the beach at the Gold Coast, Queensland.
And we have a silver 81 award. Everybody happy with that? Do we have a chat? Yes, we have a challenge from Johannes. Can we, let's get this. What a great way to start the process, with a challenge.
Yes. Okay, I gave this an 88. And the reason I gave this an 88 was the sheer energy and honesty of this image. Look at the muscle work on those horses. Look at the drive from the riders. And then what I love about this the most is there's one guy standing in the water on the side, and it just puts it all into perspective. You know, this is an invasion of his environment, but it's so powerful and so strong. And the fact that you can only see clearly one face talks about a winner. It talks about a person who's pushing harder and faster. Yeah.
Okay. Could I have a word from Lisa? You scored this just a little bit lower. Could you provide some constructive feedback?
Yeah, Johann, I was down at 78. I could have moved in, and look, I'm happy to come and join you, or I'm happy I'm listening. And the reason I just pulled it back was that I really wanted to see more, I suppose, more information, more visual information about the horses, of the horses rather, when zooming in. And I know, and I don't get hung up on whether things are particularly sharp or the like, but I just felt that I absolutely wanted to see more detail. Remember, you know, it is a digital competition. We are zooming in. But Johann, I definitely agree. I love the fact we can't see that central rider. I think that's a wonderful part of the storytelling. And I'm listening to what you're saying, that it is authentic and it's very real. So I'm definitely open. But technically, which is unusual for me, I just felt we didn't have enough visual information.
Okay, and Christopher, you were right on the edge there at 80.
I love the perspective. Almost no horse racing will permit the photographers to be on deck and photograph like this. So I did actually love that perspective. My biggest problem is this perspective has not compressed the horses in a flattering way. I have given it a silver because I think your three lead horses are killing it, doing it really well. Muscular, the jockey in the streamline position, it's perfect. But the background horses aren't in it. They're not part of it. They're creating clumsy gaps. That's why I didn't go into silver distinction. I love your three front horses, though. Killer.
Johann, you're right to reply.
Great. I'm hearing a lot of, support and positivity there. I love the fact that the rear horses are obscured by the sand that's being kicked up by the front horses. It just shows you what's really going on, and you can imagine how hard it must be to be riding through that mess. It's beautifully sharp in all the sandy bits that are flying through the air, and then you've got this wonderful fuzziness in the background of the crowd, and you can almost hear the energy from the people. And there's just little things like that front horse. You can see under his horseshoe, and there's so much detail in there. It's just magnificent. And I do love that in the middle horse, the horse and the rider are riding as one. It's so cool. I gave it an 88. I didn't give it a gold because there are things that could be even more spectacular, like if you got all the horses to ride in lines and things. But that's hardly possible. This is documentary, and you're not allowed to change the position of the horses. So I gave it an 88 for just the sheer joy and energy of the moment.
Some wonderful comments there. Johann, you're going to stay at your score of 88, and the other judges will rescore now. And we've gone up to 83. Well discussed, judges. Thank you for listening to each other. Well done. I'm going to add Mark onto the panel, and I'm going to take off Christopher. Can we have our next image, please?
Okay, the title of this image is Dogs Don't Judge, and the context, the Rollickin' Gelato Pride Dog Walk celebrates LGBTQ+ diversity and their dogs.
And we have an 83. And we have a challenge. Lisa.
Thanks, Sarah. I'm sitting at 86. I've moved into silver with distinction. And I wanted us to, and I've challenged, and I think when we challenge, it gives us more time with images as well. And I think that that's what I want my fellow judges to have, is more time. So I've challenged this because what I'm seeing in every frame is some wonderful technical mastery. You know, we've got good focus points. We've got, you know, some fabulous expressions. We've got something in every frame that's rewarding us. And I think the longer we look, the more we will see joy. We'll see all those wonderful human emotions that we want to see. In terms of documentary, you know, we're often thinking, what is this photograph revealing? You know, what is it helping me understand? And it's helping me understand a community. And I think that we have, if we're looking at our context statement, this image well and truly has met its goal of celebrating and telling us and revealing to us what this Pride Dog Walk is all about. So I'm asking for silver with distinction. And it's, if we look at that, we're looking for something highly refined, strong concept, elevated execution, originality, and emotional resonance. And I think in every frame, there is a piece of emotional resonance that we can find. So I'm asking my judges to join me with just a few more points.
Thank you. Frances, you scored an 81, so just into that silver category.
Yes, look, I appreciate and I do agree with Lisa. All these elements are there, and I found it quite an exciting piece of art to look at, and it's very quirky and all the person. I love the color pattern. It's beautifully crafted. For me, there's just a lot of information, and I jump from one image to the next, and I don't really see the busyness of it. I don't quite understand the busyness. It is an event. I understand that everyone needs to have a space, but it is very, very busy. So I'm listening and I'm trying to find out where to place my focus, but I'm just a little bit scattered because of the busyness of the image.
Thank you. And Johan.
Probably don't actually have a lot more to add, so I'll speak very quickly. The busyness is the thing that crushes this a little bit. It's a fantastic set of images, and there's so much energy and there's so much happening, and the colors are vibrant and exciting, but there's not a lot of places you can rest your eyes and stop and pause and relax into it. So you end up looking at one and then you get distracted by another and another and another without actually getting to enjoy it as a piece. So, you know, if they took out one line, it might be stronger. But I gave it an 83. I think it's well worthy of a merit.
Lisa, back to you.
I suppose it will come down to all of us and how we feel about this. For me, the busyness is perfect. It is spot on. And normally I would be that person saying, I think we need to pull things back. We need to, you know, the bit more restraint. And I just feel, though, that this is the perfect mechanism and the perfect framework to show this particular event. This is a significant event. It is a celebration. It is about diversity. It's about multiple characters, lifestyles, people, humans. And the fact that we can't rest there, I think, is fabulous, because I think it just keeps us bouncing around. There is nowhere to rest. This is excitement, dynamism, one of our favorite words in judging. And I actually am completely on board with the numerous frames. And again, it's a little out of character for me. I really tend to like things more restrained, but I think this is not about restraint. This is about show me as much as you possibly can. So I just asked my judges for a few more points to join me in silver with distinction.
Thank you, Lisa, for that passion in speaking for this image. So, Lisa, you're going to stay at 86, and judges, please rescore. And we remain at 83. That said, what a valuable discussion for the entrant. So thank you so much, and everybody watching. Now, can we have Matthew join the panel, and Frances, you can take a break, and we'll have the next image.
Okay, this image is titled Desensitized, and its context statement: Kyiv through resilience and humanity in a city shaped by conflict, April 2026.
The image scores 81, the silver award. Very well done. James, you scored 80.
Yep. Place this image in the silver range. It's a very easy to understand narrative, and with documentary photography, that's probably the most important thing to put across. If you were to send out a press photographer to photograph this for a piece, for a news article, this is the level you would expect to come back onto your desk. And it's for that reason I've placed it in that silver distinction, because we've created a strong creative images with clear strengths and concept. I like the little hands that are being clasped behind the back. I thought that was a little nice addition, and the choice of the photographer to go into monochrome. In order to elevate it to the next level, we need to consider a change of perspective, a change of angle, and potentially a change of moment, or just something else that elevates it to something else, to something different, to something that maybe asks a few more questions. But as a simple documentary piece, this hits the mark, and I congratulate the photographer on their silver award.
Thank you, James. James, actually, you can take a little break for a few minutes. Don't go anywhere far away. And Christopher, I'll have you back on the panel, and we'll have the next image, please.
The title of this image is The Leaving, and our context statement, a polyptych of 80 Lismore homes bought out in a managed retreat from flooding.
The image scores 84. Oh, nearly there. And we have a challenge from Lisa. Thank you. Lisa,
Yes, go, Sarah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think I have a fellow judge on 87 with me. And so I'm feeling up for the challenge, and I possibly got in first. So I have a feeling my fellow judge possibly would have challenged as well. Look, we have so much happening here without it actually having to be. We've got typology, which is obviously very critical when we're looking at repetitious subject matter, and obviously we can take that back to the Beckers. So it's got a nice history, in the history of the medium. So typology, and the actual numbers here represent the actual numbers of homes. So this isn't an image where I think we could say, well, we don't need a row, or, we've got too many, or we don't have enough, and things like that. And the fact that this just speaks to the sheer volume and scale of loss, I don't need to go on. I think that's so visually compelling. So I don't want to necessarily speak too much about that. And it just speaks to, I suppose, the similarity of all of the homes that were lost in this particular natural, have been reclaimed in this natural disaster. So I'm asking my judges to reward both subject matter, as well as presentation, and join me and my fellow judge in Silver with Distinction.
Mark, you scored on the lower end of the silver category there at 81.
Yeah, I'm listening, Francis, and I think you have made a compelling argument. What I really struggled with was just I kept on being drawn in really strongly into those little pops of yellow and red contrast on all of the signage, and I get that it's part of the narrative, but it was kind of like all these little staccatos going on that actually drew me away from the presence of these buildings, and I was struggling with the treatment, just with the consistencies and shifts from magenta to blues in the skies and things like that that kind of held me into the silver range because I think it deserves an award, but it was just those consistency issues that kind of held me back at that silver level.
Thank you. And Matthew, could I have a word from you, please?
Sure. Look, Lisa, I do agree with you as well. I've still been sitting here studying this picture, and yeah, I'm also happy to move myself up. Mark, can we talk to about the consistencies? I think it's also the fact that at this time, in this weather, the photographer has chosen different days and tried to match the weather as much as possible. And we are talking about documentary photography. So choosing days where we have nice flat weather to see as much on the houses as possible. Nothing's in too much sunlight. There's not too much shade on things either. And then the choice of lensing as well. Everything is shot from the almost the exact same viewpoint, and the same angle that we're shooting at, and then the same focal length, it feels like. So as they're put together, they sit together as a really nice big group of images. So yeah, I think it deserves a higher place than where it is at the moment.
Okay. Lisa, you're right to reply? Oh, Johan, would you like to speak?
Just quickly,
Yeah.
all these houses have almost a deathly presence. You look at them and none of them have that sense of vitality. The signage is what they put on buildings when they're being red stickered or whatever you want to call that. And it's invasive because, well, the signage is invasive. It's got to stop you from getting in there. And just the number just shows the enormity of the loss. That's where I'll stop. But I gave it an 87. It's awesome.
Fantastic. Lisa, just quickly, is there anything you'd just like to rebut there?
Yeah, I just want to thank Mark. I love the word staccato. I think that that's fabulous. And I'm going to counter that and say that I see them as stepping stones. So they allow us to jump around. Do you mean they invite us to jump around, as opposed to I don't find them problematic at all. But I appreciate that. And I thank you for the input. And thanks everyone for the support. And I'm looking forward to having rewarding the photographer with a few more points.
Yes, we are right on the edge there at 84. So Lisa, you will stay where you are at 87, and the judges, please rescore now. And we've gone to a silver with distinction, 86. Thank you so much, judges, for listening and for such a valuable discussion. Johan, you're going to sit off now for a second, and I'm going to bring Francis back on. And we'll move to the next image.
The title of this image is Fighting Through Smoke. And our context, a CFA member defends a Longwood home as bushfire smoke flows past.
We have a silver, 82. Congratulations. And Mark, we have a challenge. You scored 88. Tell
Yeah,
us
thank
why.
you. Look, just okay. So to start off with, we've got this really yummy color combination that stands in such stark contrast to the severity of the scene, and we've got this kind of popping out figure from the foreground. He's in action, he's doing his thing. There's nothing particularly dramatic about it, but that's countered so beautifully by this perfectly sailing flag that has this calm sense of serenity. This whole image it's a beautiful contrast of calmness in amongst such catastrophic circumstances, and being able to frame this with balance, being able to take consideration with the color tones, the way the highlights are handled. I think this is a really superb piece of visual information, and I think it's really deserved of a silver distinction.
Thank you. Matthew, you scored 81.
Yeah, I'm sitting in 81, and I think it deserves a really good, strong silver because shooting in these kind of environments is really difficult. So the person that we're seeing there covered up, and they've got things over their eyes and their face, and the photographer would likely be dressed in the same equipment to capture this and operating a camera at the same time. Smoke is really difficult to capture through and to get clear images within. So capturing that moment where we can see the CFA volunteer putting out fire is fabulous. And Mark, I do agree, the flag, and there's a lovely little element. I think I'd just like to come in a little tighter-ish into the frame and see a tiny little bit more detail of things without eliminating the flag. There's information on the right that doesn't necessarily add to the delivery of the image.
Christopher, you scored 82, which is right where the image landed. Would you like to just say a quick word before we move back to Mark?
I just think it's a very unique colour temperature. Having been in several bushfires, and I don't want to get emotional, blue's not a colour I associate with, and yet I'm totally accepting this as being genuine. And the blue works with the flag. I agree. It's not a square, but it doesn't need to lose 20% on the right, because that colour temperature, that little triangle colour temperature is adding relief or release, and it's leaking out that hole. So I would have cropped that out. But yes, I definitely think it's silver. Courageous photography.
Thank you so much. So, Mark, you would stay on your score of 88, and judges, please rescore now.
Can I have my right of reply?
Oh, I'm so sorry. Please
That's
forgive
all
me.
right. James is shaking his head. Yeah, look, thank you for the feedback. In that, I'm not hearing anything that's really holding it back, except for that little bit of space on the right-hand side. And I just think without that little pop of darkness over there on the far right-hand side, we'd lose the anchorage and we'd lose that sense of diagonal that's running through the frame to the bottom left-hand side. I think it contributes to the composition well. I think the little bit of difference in color in smoke on the left-hand side is also alleviated by the difference on the right-hand side in that little dark patch as well. And so I think it brings a further depth to the image that it needs to really have this flagpole hovering out from this ethereal smoke, proud and serene. And in terms of framing, the placement of the figure in amongst the busyness of the 60s home there, everything is just so well considered, it's well constructed, well handled, and I'd just like to see it. What are we sitting on? What was the score? I think it was
I think it was an 83.
2 more points. 85, please.
Thank you for your passion, and thank you all for such constructive advice there. You can all rescore now, apart from Mark, who stays at 88. We now have an 85 as silver with distinction. Those few points just making such a difference to the entrance. Thank you so much. Lisa, you can take a quick break. James, you can come back on. And we'll have the next image, please.
The title of this image is First Hold at Birth, and our context statement, lit by delivery suite examination lights.
We have quite a range of scores and a silver at 81. And we have a challenge from Francis, who scored 88.
Yes, this is a very unique and special newborn photo, newborn image that we have in front of us. First of all, technically, given the circumstances of the light where the photo was taken, are very nicely handled. The presentation is quite unique. So this is already very well composed and well done. But for me, really, what made it for me and what did bring it for me into the silver distinction is the multiple interpretation that I found in this image. So the painted fingernails, they sit as such a strong contrast to that soft, tenderness of the newborn baby. It's almost suggests to me that the mother still is working out her own identity or the new identity. There is this contrast of a new role of motherhood, and then there's this baby. I just see this confrontation going on between the mother. Also, we see the baby from the back. It's just not quite ready to possibly have that baby. So I found that a really, really interesting image, and a very, very strong narrative for me. So have another look and see what you think about that.
Thank you, Francis. James, you scored 77, so quite a difference there. I'd love to hear from you how the entrant can elevate this.
Yeah, I'm still in highly commended, and I put it in highly commended for the clear intent, as the description states. There is a clear intent here to showcase, as Francis alludes to, a different side to this newborn photograph. Francis has drawn my attention to the nails there. I think, like, actually on reflection, what's interesting from a documentary standpoint about the nails is there's a clear gap at the root of them on the acrylics, which means that there's been weeks that have gone by where they've gone without attention. And we know why that is, right? So that really leads nicely into that documentary narrative. Overall, though, as a photograph, I just found it just felt a tiny little bit, not a tiny little bit, it just felt a little bit clumsy in terms of its overall presentation. And I mean that in the nicest possible way. I didn't really think that the archway framework added anything to it. I'm not sure why it's there. And potentially with these sorts of images where the lighting conditions are challenging, a black and white conversion can give us a more even balance throughout the picture and give us a more timeless feel to this moment. I want to hear from everyone else's thoughts. I'm willing to move slightly either way, I'm willing to move up. I'm not willing to move down from 77. But I'd just like to hear everyone else's interpretation of this piece.
Thank you. Matthew, you scored 80.
Yeah, I put it in 80, and I've put it in the silver range for the location of where this is captured and the momentary second in time that the photographer has had to be able to capture this image and create this. I love that little fold of skin on that hand. I think that's a really delicate little thing, and even the almost slight crush of the ears that don't look straight yet, and everything's so lovely and fresh and brand new. And I do have to agree with James on that. I think that arch on the top does not add a great deal to the presentation of the image.
Thank you. And Francis, your right of reply.
Yes, thank you for that. I do still believe that actually the nails, and yes, they don't look bright and fresh, but that's probably part of it. So I can feel this mother getting herself really ready for giving birth and this completely new life she's actually approaching. Babies don't come on days they're planned, so the fingernails might have been done earlier than, than when the baby was due and the baby was late or whatever. So that doesn't really matter. But the fact that they're there, also first reaction when I saw the images, yes, black and white. But no, for the message I get, for the narrative, I think the color is so important. Like the mother and the perfect nails and everything, and then the baby newborn, and a few marks on the skin, a little bit rough on the skin after birth. It all falls in place. So yeah, and as I said, it's just we can't see the baby's face, and this creates, I think it creates an emotional distance, and gives us less of a feel. It gives less the feel, the connection between the newborn and the mother. They're not quite there yet. They haven't connected. She's also holding the baby a little bit clumsy. However, she does try to hold it nicely once again for the photograph. And therefore I thought the arch, how it is presented to us, is also, let's do something really special in the presentation, of presenting that new baby. So for me, it really works, and it's got a very strong narrative, and therefore I've put it in the silver distinction range, and I'd like you judges to come up a few points and join me there.
Thank you. What an incredibly deep discussion. How much the judges read into this, and I'm very impressed with James's knowledge of nail technology. So Francis, you're going to stay at 88, and the judges will rescore. And we've remained on 81, the Silver Award. But once again, what an incredibly valuable discussion that was for everybody watching and the entrant as well. I'm going to ask Mark to take a little break, and we will bring Johan back on. And then we'll move to the next image.
This image is titled Flex, South Beach, Western Australia, and a context statement. The boys make the most of the fading evening light after the electrical storm.
And we have an 81 Silver Award. The judge is very tight on the scoring there. James, would you like to comment on this?
I'm so glad this has won a Silver Award. This is an image that immediately sort of rang deep in the middle of my chest. It's just an homage to a bygone youth. God, how lucky these boys are to be of this age and have this freedom and this just amazing possibility of everything in front of them. And I think that's what's really key about it is the fact that we can't see a lot of faces, which draws us into them sort of looking forward into the future with the little accent of the boy in the water just underneath there, just down, the four of them playing together. I couldn't push it into silver with distinction, and I really wanted to. It's just feels a little off kilter. if we look at the horizon line of the sea in the bottom right-hand corner, it's just a little off of an angle. And I think if it had just been straightened up, and if we'd have just worked through some of the tonality through the hair, particularly at the top, and not maybe brought in a very, very soft vignette, just kept it as sort of like a flat black and white image with good contrast and good texture and good tonality throughout, then I'm fighting for it to go a little bit higher. But I'm so glad it's won its silver award. It's a wonderful piece, and I hope that these boys get to keep it and look back on it in years to come.
Thank you, James. And that was a silver 81. Next image, please.
The title of this image is Blessing, and its context: a family receives blessings for health and longevity during a ceremony in Bhutan.
Score, please, Matthew. And we have a silver 81. Christopher, you enjoyed this image at 83?
I love the storytelling because we're going to assume, and it's an assumption, we're looking at a family unit. Dad's barged his way to the front. Maybe it's the society thing. But what I love is Mum's consideration is the baby gets the blessing first. The baby needs the blessing. I want the baby to get in there and get the blessing. The drama of her pushing her baby forward as if it's to be kissed by a saint or something. I just love it. It's got a degree of humour about family relations and certain hierarchy.
Thank you. Print scores, the image scores 81, and I would like Matthew and Christopher to sit off, and Lisa and Mark to come back on the panel. And then we will have the next score, please.
This image is titled Almost a Conversation, and its context: luxury display contrasts with passing figures in a moment of quiet disparity.
And we have a silver 82. Could I have a comment from Mark, please?
Yeah, what a fantastic silver award. I think though you've really captured the title well, disparity. There is such disparity of luxury and despair going on here. To elevate this image, I keep on going to the pink handbag, and I think a beautiful treatment in black and white, and accentuating that interplay between the mannequin and the man with that hunch could have really helped to elevate the image quite a bit further. But really well done to the entrant. Don't give up on this image. Go back and have a bit of a replay.
Thank you so much. The image scored 82. And can I have Francis off the panel? And I'm going to bring Matthew back on. Next image, please.
This image is titled A Blast in the North, and its context statement: a soldier fires an 84mm rocket launcher during training at Mount Bundy, Northern Territory.
Okay. We have a silver 81 award, and I would like to have a comment from Johan, please.
Yes. Hang on. Yeah, I just love the energy that's going on here. The ability to capture the projectile on its way out. That is the moment. That is the placement for it. I love the way that the back of the soldier is illuminated by the explosion. Completely out of the photographer's control. I just wish that the explosion had been contained within the picture. Yeah, not able to change that while that's happening. But absolutely stunning. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Image scores 81. And could I have James, you're going to take a break, and I'll have Christopher back on, please, and we'll move to the next image.
The title of this image is Break Wall Bravado, and there is no supplied context statement.
We're missing the image.
No.
Just hit reload fix, Sarah, and it should show up for you.
All right, thank you.
Sounds like Sarah's screen has gone blank. Sarah, I might step in for a minute if that's all right.
Yeah.
This image score is 83, which is a silver award. So congratulations to the entrant on a silver. Matthew, you were exactly on the average there.
Yeah, I was. It's fabulous. I mean, there's a beautiful diagonal line with those lovely big concrete blocks there and lovely frozen water and water droplets throughout the image, nice sharpness through them, and that those two characters on the bottom left of the image are wonderful. They really anchor the energy that's coming and the impending drowning that they're about to get.
Awesome. Thanks, Matthew. I'm going to step in for Sarah for a minute because she's having some technical difficulties. So, Sarah, we hope we get you back really, really soon. In the meantime, you've got me. So, Johan, you can have a little break and we'll bring Francis back onto the panel, please. And Mel, can we have our next image, please?
This image is titled Newcastle Ocean Baths, and there is no supplied context statement.
And we have an 84 silver award. So congratulations to our entrant. I don't think Lisa's going to let that stand. Lisa's on 88 in that silver with distinction range. Challenges all yours, Lisa.
Just so striking visually. There's no element in this frame that hasn't earned its place. It's a subtle story. It's a fairly quiet story. Tonally, it's very subtle as well. But whether we're looking at immediate impact or we're zooming in on the screen, everything is rewarding. There's no element here that doesn't belong here. I'm a little bit surprised. I was the only judge sitting in silver with distinction. I think we've got beautiful leading lines. We've got lovely tones. We've got great content and composition and subject matter. And so I'm wanting to know what I need to do to get my fellow judges to join me. So over to you.
Francis, you were on 78 in that highly commended range. Can you help Lisa out with some of those points?
Yes, I probably was a little bit harsh on 78. However, I do enjoy all the points Lisa has just listed. Absolutely right. It has got for me quite a strong blue cast, and I just didn't understand the reason for the blue cast in such an intense way. So if you could please explain me a little bit more about that, that would be great. But yes, beside that wonderful composition of the image.
Thanks, Francis. Christopher, you were actually, before we go to you, Christopher, I'm going to go to Mark Zed, who was exactly on the average on 84.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I want to speak to both sides of the argument so far. And it, all of these elements are just so magical. The redhead with the orange bathing suit on, contrasted by this beautiful blue, and I think that speaks to the blue cast throughout the image. Just helps to really press her forwards and make her the hero of the frame. The other little hero sitting up there with the seagull. I I kind of held it back a bit because if that had been pressed out a little bit more and had, these two elements in solitude complementing each other, and also I would have, and for me it was a little bit of a missed moment. 2 seconds before she intersected the background with the background fencing, and I would have been up there at like probably a 90 to 91, or another 2 seconds either side to place her on the other side of that, just to eliminate that distraction coming out of the forehead. But I'm still listening. I was right on the edge at 84, so I'm happy to listen to the writer reply, but I think it is solid silver in my book.
All right, thanks, Mark. Christopher, anything quickly to add?
Yeah, I just thought the colour harmony was brilliant. It's such a very narrow band of colour. It is really striking me as being very early in the morning. That's why the colour band is blue, green. I certainly gave it silver distinction.
Thanks, Christopher. Lisa, back to you.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks to my fellow judges. I think Christopher has responded. Perhaps I hope Francis and Mark as well, looking at the blue colour cast. I think I've been comfortable with that in this instance. And Mark, yes, I can see literally a split second either side, and I probably would have been at 98. But I didn't. I popped it in silver with distinction. And I'm just wanting to say, and I suppose asking my fellow judges to think, what is the baseline that keeps you in silver versus what are you willing to do to move to silver with distinction? We only need one more point to get our image up into silver with distinction. And I just feel that when we've used words such as brilliant and striking and powerful and impactful, that we really must almost be there. So I'm just asking you to reconsider and join me. We just need one more point.
Thanks, Lisa. Lisa's going to keep her score at 88, and everyone else can rescore now, please. Oh, you got your way. 85, silver with distinction. Excellent. Congratulations to the entrant. Silver with distinction is a fantastic result. It's a really good discussion, everyone. All right, Lisa, that was hard work. How about you have a little break, and we'll bring James back to the panel for our next image, please, Mel.
This image is titled Evening Life in Shantytown, Swakopmund, and there is no supplied contact statement.
Scores, please, Francis. All right, we have an 81, a silver award. Congratulations to the entrant on your silver. That's an excellent result. Let's see. I might go to Mark for a comment on this one, please. Mark, you were on 82, so you were really close to the average.
Yeah, and what a great silver award. So congratulations to the photographer. The dominant diagonal running through the frame is both the strength and the weakness here. I really enjoy the framing. I like what's going on. But with the caption that we have, I would have just loved to have seen a few more people along that dominant diagonal telling a few more stories. At the moment, I'm kind of struggling to lead into all those little lives that are happening throughout the buildings, but congratulations to the entrant.
You had some nods from your fellow judges there, so I think there's some good agreement. All right, that's enough of me. Sarah, back to you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for putting up with my little technical difficulty. Mark, would you like to go off the panel for a few minutes, and Johan, I'll bring you back on and move to the next image, please.
The title of this image is Little Sisters of the Abandoned Elderly, and our context statement, the laundry in Santa Venia home for the aged, Havana, Cuba, run by the sisters.
And we have a silver 83. Johan, okay, we have some people fighting it out for a challenge, and I'm going to go with Johan. I'm going to let you challenge as you scored 88, the
Cool.
highest score.
Thank you. This is a wonderful document. It is such a wonderful story. I love the title. The fact that we have a little sister as one of the little sisters of the abandoned elderly. I love the fact that the crucifix is hanging down to reinforce the religious element that is the backbone of this organization. I love the humility of doing the ironing. I love the foreground with that strong, blurred out clothing and the coat hanger, the wire that follows from that down to where you're supposed to look with the I almost said bride with the nun there, and then the control over the lighting that's coming through the windows. It's not so bright. The clothing's placed perfectly over what would have been an offensive amount of light to give you this wonderful rim lighting about this fantastic story. I gave it an 88. Yeah.
Thank you. Just to hear the other side of the viewpoints here, I'd like to hear from James, who scored 78. So what could the entrance do to bring this up to the next level?
Yeah, no, I placed it 78 right at the high end of highly commended. I'm keen to listen to everyone, as I think this is one of the categories where we sort of have to judge as a team and move accordingly and listen to everyone's different interpretations. It's really a subjective thing from me, and this isn't great usable feedback. I wasn't emotionally stirred by it. It wasn't something that moved me in that way. I understand the title, I understand the context, and I certainly understand the context, statement on top of it. I felt photographically there was a lot of contrasting elements that were pulling my eye away from the frame, very bright elements in the image that weren't leading to a pleasing, more rounded image. And I felt maybe it was overly dominated by the clothing on the left-hand side, the overall composition. And that's why I was struggling to find the photographic refinement to push it into silver. I'm listening. I'm willing and happy to move if people can sort of bring in some context and some technical insight for me to allow me to do that.
Yes. So Francis, you also wanted to challenge this. You were at 86.
Yes, yes, and I just want to add to Johan. I agree with everything he said, but just also watch the hands, guys. Look at what she's doing with her hands. So one hand works with purpose, while the other one just gently supports the fabric. It's just creating a sense of care of what she's doing. She's not just doing a household duty. She is she's it's a portrait of dedication and love to her daily duty. Everything is so immaculate. Her outfit is also ironed beautiful. Then her work that is hanging to the left, showing what she's already achieved during the day. There's so much emotion and so much dedication in that narrative. So really, I think it's definitely going to the silver distinction range for me.
Thank you, Francis. And back to Johan.
Yeah, I love I don't want to say voyeuristic, the observational quality of this, where we are looking from a distance. We're looking in and we're seeing a private part of something that goes on. I love the fact that there's no glory in this. This person is unidentified. We don't know who they are personally. We only can see what they do and how they're dressed and the condition of their hands. And it's such a simple story, but it has so much strength. Yeah, I would love to see it come up a little bit if we could.
Thank you. Johan, you're going to stay at 88, and judges, please rescore. And we have an 85 silver with distinction. Again, those few points that just make such a difference. Thank you, judges, for listening to each other and just the wonderful discussion. Can we have Lisa? Actually, Matthew, can you go off and we'll have Lisa back on? And then we'll have the next image, please.
The title of this image is Whose Flag? And the context, a woman sticks her tongue out at the camera during the March for Australia.
And we have a silver 81. Could I have a word from Lisa, please? You enjoyed this at 84.
I did. I really enjoyed it. And of course, I'm sure we all agree that that main subject is just beautiful. That is just wonderful, very engaging. And we can interpret this in many, many ways. It can be a commentary, you know, back at the actual photographer, it can be a commentary on on anything. So I do like that it's quite open. I feel that we've got a fair bit of information perhaps off to the right that we didn't necessarily need. And when a judge sort of says something like, you know, cropping and things like that, really what we're saying is, has everything earned its place in the frame? And I feel that that the information visually in the right-hand side of the frame doesn't necessarily contribute or add to this story. So for me, the story is that central character. Yes, we need a little bit of context, but we just don't need that much. So I think a slight tightening up. And something I personally love to use in Lightroom is I like to use the crop overlays. I don't know if anyone else uses them. And I particularly like the golden spiral or Fibonacci spiral, however you refer to that, because it allows you then to sort of really circle through, or even your triangles if you like. So I would just recommend that you consider just revisiting this frame. And at what did we score at 81? That's brilliant. So well done.
Thank you, Lisa. I completely agree with using these the composition tools in Lightroom and Photoshop. I can't live without them. So the image scores 81, and I'm going to have Mark come back on, and Christopher, you can take a break. And we'll move to the next image, please.
The title of this image is Hope, and our context, amid patterns of protest, a young woman pauses in a moment of quiet petition.
And we have a highly commended 79. And we have a challenge from Mark.
Yeah, thank you. Look, we're sitting on 79. We're right on the fence. I really do believe that the photographer should be rewarded with a silver. We're looking at a strong creative image, clear strength in concept, technique, and impact. We've got all of those elements coming together really beautifully. We can read into all sorts of emotion, what we think is going through this young protester's mind. It's you know, it's evocative. It will move you one way or another. regardless of who you are, we're all going to have different emotions with this image. But we've got all of the things that are coming together. We know we've got the busyness, we've got the serenity of her. Is one more point. Let's just knock it over the line, reward the entrant.
Thank you. And Francis, you were right on borderline there, 80. Could you speak to how this could be improved?
Yes, look, I did really enjoy her very intense facial expression. I think it really works well with the description of the image. I have it in this little range for this because I found it quite powerful. Also how she holds her hands and how she's squeezing onto that cup on her right arm. I was just a little bit distracted with the background with the lady in the left there with the face sort of trimmed off halfway. But yes, definitely well seen and well done image for the photographer.
Okay, thank you. And Mark, your right of reply, you scored this 83. Why should the other judges move up?
Yeah, look, I think I've already said it all. I think we just need to go to a rescore and hopefully we just give it that one little extra point.
Great, you can stay on 83 and judges can rescore. And we now have an 80, a silver award. Thank you, judges. We are halfway through our images now, so we're going to take a quick commercial break and we'll be back soon.
Wow, photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they're so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing color.
I'm Mark Rizzetto from the Professional Photography Business Network.
A vibrant community from all around the world who's here to supercharge your business growth.
This is not an expensive one-size-fits-all course.
PPBN is a network,
an online educational platform with training and resources to suit everyone.
from those just starting out to the seasoned pros.
You can tailor your journey to suit your individual business needs and challenges, all at your own pace.
And there's new content added every week. But success is only part of the experience.
To us, community is super important as we all know business can be lonely.
So join us today. PPBN is your unfair advantage. Let's do this.
Welcome back, everybody, and we are going to dive straight back into our judging. And Francis, you're going to sit off the panel for a second, and I'm going to put Matthew back on, and we'll move to our next image, please.
Okay, the title of this image is The Overseer, and our context, women agricultural labourers prepare soil for potato crop, Bangladesh.
And we have a silver 81. James, you were right on 81 there. Would you like to comment?
Yeah, I'd love to comment. Congratulations on the author for this silver award. It demonstrates to me overall good control of photographic intent, particularly in camera. So we've chosen an aperture that matches this scene in terms of where we want the eye to go, keeping all of the elements of interest in the foreground pin sharp, but then giving us a little bit of detail in the background, but it's a little bit out of focus, which has given us a nice pleasing backdrop, particularly in these lighting and environmental circumstances. Bottom heavy composition has been well handled with just that little element of sky just above the trees. So everything's been nicely presented. And you can see if this was an editorial piece to be presented on an editor's desk for a magazine or a newspaper, where the text would go and how it would sit in a broadsheet newspaper. In order to elevate it slightly, just control maybe some of the tonality throughout some of the coloured areas of clothing on some of the workers in the foreground. Some of it's a bit brighter than others, and it doesn't quite have that whole continuity. We could potentially look at maybe a slightly different angle on this, but I quite like the front-on approach as a piece, as a photographic piece that's ready for presentation, that tells a simple story. It does all of those things, and it's well worthy of that silver award. Congratulations to the author.
Congratulations indeed. Thank you. James, you can take a quick break, and Christopher, you'll come back on, and we'll move to the next image, please.
The title of this image is The Breaking Ground, and our context, labourers endure heat, dust, and repetitive manual labour in Sylhet, Bangladesh.
Score, please, Johan. And we have a silver 83. And we have a challenge from Johan, who scored 86. Can you unmute, please?
Sorry about that. I love the sequence of events that's visible here from the fortunately the color, like the red, gets your attention first, and you go there straight away, and then you follow the action as it goes down, or the inaction. You know, some people are just posing, and the way that the image has this rhythm. It's the rhythm in this image that is its strength, with the colors and the positioning of the people and the outcome, which is these chips and smaller stones. It's very clever. I gave it an 86. Yeah.
Okay. So can I have a comment from Christopher, please? What would you need to see to bring this up into the silver distinction range? You scored this an 80.
I thought I was actually rewarding the author, the photographer, because silver to me was where it's sat. There's no major drama, but it has, as our previous judges mentioned, there's a ribbon that starts at the bottom corner. Unfortunately, that bottom corner also is a very hot pot. If that wasn't there and the footprint into the soil was the anchor point, then it runs beautifully. But yeah, I certainly gave it a silver. I thought it was a great photo.
Thank you. And can I have a word from Mark? You enjoyed this image at 85.
Yeah, I also thought it was worthy of a silver distinction, and I think you know Johannes so summed it up pretty well. It's got this beautiful rhythm running through there, where it is such a really well articulated story throughout the image. But to top that off, we've got this really lovely management of all of the colors within the frame. They're all really bright colors, but they haven't hit it with a hammer. They haven't gone into a sickly sort of oversaturated color space. The management of it works really well to still retain the impact of the rocks and the actual, the crushing work of what's happening, and just the incredible weight of the stones and then the dust coming up. We've got this a really lovely harmony between the black and whites of the actual subjects versus the colourful nature of the workers. So I think it's a very clever image. I think compositionally it works beautifully, and I would like it just to come up that 2 points to the 85.
And back to you, Johan, your right of reply.
Absolutely on the rhythm. The other thing is this is a documentary category, and this says something about who's doing all the work. And it certainly doesn't seem to be those two guys standing there posing for the camera. And that for me is the thing that brings it into the distinction category, along with the fantastic capture. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Johan, you will stay at 86, and the rest of the judges, you can rescore. And we have an 85. Well done, judges. Wonderful discussion there. And we have a silver with distinction. Can we have Johan, you can come off the panel briefly, and we will bring Francis back on. And next image, please.
The title of this image is Flags as Weapons, and our context: far-right NSN members attack a left-wing protester at March for Australia.
And we have a silver with distinction, an 85. Very pretty tight scoring across the board there. Everybody enjoying that. I would like to hear from Christopher, please.
Yeah, I think we've got to give it extra points because there is the element of threat to the photographer. These people probably don't want their faces recorded for what they're about to do. And if you look at it, his medium wide angle lens means that he's only a metre away from what is basically a beating. And he's sticking to his guns, trying to keep it all sharp, clean. And the beautiful offset is that stupid logo that's on the man's trolley, or whatever you call it, skateboard. It's just such, you could go down to it and go, this guy's probably doesn't want to be there. He's just there, and he feels emotion. There's violence going on in the background, and there's a couple of people looking on who are part of this group going, I wonder if I really want to be part of this. So there's a lot of storytelling going on here, and courage from the photographer. That's why I gave it a silver distinction.
Thank you very much. And can we have Matthew, you're going to go off for a second, and James, you can come back on, and we'll move to the next image, please.
The title of this image is Who's Capturing What? And there is no supplied context statement.
Score, please, Francis. And we have an 80, a silver award. Well done, judges. James, you enjoyed this image at 82?
I did. Yeah, and congratulations to the author on their silver award, a very easy to understand concept. The reason why I pushed it just into that silver award and out of highly commended was just I felt overall, if you were an astro camera club or a landscape camera society or a walking and camera group, this is the perfect encapsulation as to what your service provides. Nice little space at the top there as well for room for text for Facebook banners and things like that, but it should be presented in a bigger format than that. It should be printed on the wall of a society and put somewhere like that. Good use of the black and white and good use of the silhouetting to create an easy to understand narrative. In order to push it into the next level, see if we can maintain some detail in the clouds, maybe pick a different time of the day where the clouds are doing something different. Just try and not be so heavy on that vignette at the top. But overall, a really nicely presented image. Thank you for sharing and congratulations on your silver award.
Thank you, James. Lisa, would you like to take a very short break? And Johan, you can come back on the panel and we'll have the next image, please.
The title of this image, and I apologize, I'm probably going to butcher it, Pamanti Strom Memorial Tree, Prague. And the context statement: in Czech folklore, ancient trees symbolize protection, community, and heritage.
And we have a silver award, 80. Christopher, you scored 80, right on the nose there.
Yeah, there is a series of shots, especially for some reason in Berlin, where people go into the gardens to sunbake in the middle of cities, and I love that sort of contrast where you've got a very stately place, probably very religious in its time, and here's a young person being a young person and catching a tan. And this is going to happen, unfortunately, more often with global warming. They'll be able to catch tan for more months of the year. But yeah, it's a great contrast. And size as well, actually.
Thank you, Christopher. So that was a silver award, 80. And Matthew, you can come back onto the panel. And Mark, you can step off for a second and we'll move to the next image.
The title of this image is Survival in Antarctica Can Be Brutal. And our context: a Weddell seal rests on the ice after surviving an orca attack.
And we have a 79, highly commended, but Francis, you scored 87 on this. Are you happy to let that rest?
Yes, I really was really drawn into this image. First of all, the photographer chose not to actually photograph the action of the attack, but of the result of it. and the result is very clear. The seal is injured and lying there. But what I found to be a big contrast is the boat in the background, and I assume there might be tourists, a group of people, it doesn't really matter, that don't really care about the situation. So rather than showing a reaction to this, they sort of just cruise past it. And the image, the animal itself feels very isolated against the very vulnerable and isolated on that ice by itself to recover from this attack. It's just a bit of a question I found about the role of observers of natures in general. I found that confrontation quite strong in this image as a narrative. So yes, I'd just like to have a chat about it really and see what the other judges' thoughts were on this image.
Thank you. So Francis is challenged at 87. I'd like to hear from James. You scored this 78.
Yes, I had it in highly commended an image that has initial impact and draws you in with that, and it's the first time that in this entire competition that I've seen a context statement that's really helped me with an image, because with just the title, I would have assumed that there was some other attack on this seal, but with the context statement, I understand that it was an orca attack, and these guys in the background are now just passing the scene as Francis has added that layer of narrative for me. So for me, they just looked like they were sat still in the scene as it was happening, not passing on a sort of floating or moving boat. And if I can add that narrative, I may be able to move my score up slightly. I felt the whole composition, it didn't sit quite powerfully enough for me. Everything is sort of neither symmetrical nor on that sort of composition of thirds. We're kind of like it's just within a frame surrounded by space, and there's not a clear use of negative space either to really draw our eye in, especially with the seal being slightly hidden by those chunks of ice and a really shallow depth of field, which isn't allowing us to see a lot of detail of the guys in the boat in the background. They're just a shape. We can't actually sort of see any individual characters in there. I'm certainly listening. I'm certainly willing to move up, and we're not far away from silver at all. So, but I want to hear from my other judges as well.
Matthew, you enjoyed this image at 85.
Yeah, look, I did as well, because I think this shows very much the other side of Antarctic adventures and being down on that continent, that not everything is always wonderfully and rosy, and you're pointing your cameras and capturing the pretty things that we all like to see and that we go down there for. And James, to address some space in it, I feel like everything sits in that central third and really sits there comfortably together. The relationship between the people in the rubber ducky behind, where we have at least one person who is looking at what has happened, connecting with that scene, and then that nice little wedge in the center that potentially might tell us where this is where the orca has come from. This is where the attack has come from. If we don't have that, then that seal is just floating on ice. There's not that nice little blue and lighter blue connection there with the people in that ducky behind. So those two relationships together, they really harmonize really nicely.
Thank you. Francis, anything else to add?
Yes, look, thank you for all that. I do feel the isolation of the injured animal in the ice. It's giving me a sense of just vulnerable. You know, it's got this attack. It's got this sore, but on the other side of the animal, I believe it's his stomach where the injury is of the attack. But once again, the narrative, and it is all compacted in the middle, but that's what I like, because that's where the action is. That's where our narrative sits. And the boat passing by, not necessarily everyone can see what's actually happened. There is this ignorance again of us as human beings, as spectators in areas like that. Do we really see? Do we really get? For me, the question is really: do we really get to see what happens in nature there? do we really get the full picture when we beam down in boats and have a look at things? You know, there's one person turning around, maybe there are some sounds coming from the animal, from the seal, maybe not. There's two people actually looking, but the others don't even see what's happening. And I found this a very, very strong message in general for tourism as well. So yeah, I'll just like you to have another look. I think it definitely belongs into the silver range. I've put it in the silver distinction range for its strong narrative and the emotional feel I get from this image. So yes, please have another look.
Thank you, Francis. You're going to stay at 87, and judges, please rescore. And we have an 82, a silver award. Thank you, judges. Excellent discussion. So useful for everybody watching and for the entrant as well. And those, you know, we've changed the category. So well done. I would like to take Christopher off, and I'm going to bring Lisa on, and we'll move to the next image.
The title of this image is Intimacy Amidst the Chaos, and our context, the orange sindoor symbolizes a married woman's devotion, Chahath Puja Festival, Kolkata.
Lisa, score please. Great. Highly commended. We have a 78. Thank you very much. I'd like to hear from Francis, please. A brief comment from you.
Yes, look, it is a very intimate moment. I do really appreciate that. It's got so the light, the time of the day when it's photographed, there's a beautiful feel to that. Just to improve the image a little bit and probably bring it to the next level, the description talked about cows in Calcutta. There is a lot of cows, so probably not cropping in as tight and show more of the busyness in the background would have reflected more and even brought the emotion out a little bit more of that intimate, more peaceful, calm moment of these two people.
Thank you. Wonderful comment there. Francis, you can take a break, and I will bring Mark back on. And we'll move to the next image, please.
The title of this image is My Sister, and the context, Kian holding his brand new sister for the first time moments after her arrival.
And we have a silver award, 80. Lisa, you really enjoyed this image.
I did, thanks, Sarah. And I'm sorry, I was a bit late to press the comment button there. So thanks for coming to me. Oh, look, it's exactly what documentary is. You know, it's literally a moment. We've got an expression, we've got emotion. I love the fact that it's extremely real. We've got cut off body bits. You know, we've got the feet on the right, and we've got half the human on the left. We've got, I think, even a phone up in the corner there. I actually feel that this is the perfect framing. And I don't know if anyone else is familiar with Stephen Shaw. He has a primer on photography called The Nature of Photographs, and he speaks about the frame being passive or active. And does this frame speak to us of being a contained universe, or does it speak to a wider world? So I think this is really good. In terms of moving to silver with distinction, I suspect it's one of those images where there needs to be just something a little bit more. It could have been perhaps the angle of the engagement with our young with Kian there. Perhaps it might have been another slightly different light, just a different angle of the photographer. There just needed to be something, and I apologize. And I may actually, Sarah, maybe there's another judge that may be able to provide more deeper content or suggestion, because technically and conceptually, I'm comfortable that it's sitting as strong and creative. And I'd like to maybe pass it back.
We don't have a challenge, so the image rests there.
No, just for another comment. I feel that I've commented conceptually, and perhaps there is another judge that may be able to provide just further comment as to moving it into enhancing it further.
Sure. James, would you like to speak?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll keep it very, very short. There's an image at home in my house of a 3-year-old boy holding a 3-day-old girl, and the look on his face always makes my heart sing. It's a different look to the one in this picture, but that's what's so great about it. This look, this expression is what really sings. Sometimes images have a ceiling in competition as to how high they can and can't go. And if we're to offer constructive feedback, sometimes that feedback's maybe only just going to nudge it up a point. It's not going to nudge it up categories. There may be a ceiling for this image in competition, but there is no ceiling for this image within family life and within the personal resonance between the mother and the relationship she has with their children, but also the relationship that these children will have together growing up. Timeless. It's going to stand the test of time. It's going to get more valuable to that family over time. And I commend the author on a well-earned silver award.
Beautifully put, James. Thank you. Okay, James, you can take a seat for a second, and we will bring Christopher back on. We'll move to the next image, please.
The title of this image is Breaking Stone, and our context: labourers work amid dust and heat processing stone by hand, Sylhet, Bangladesh.
We have a highly commended, 78. And I would like to have a comment from Yo. Actually, we have 2 volunteers' comments. So I'm going to ask Mark to speak.
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. Breathing room would have really helped. It's just a little bit truncated at the bottom there. The crop is just a little bit too too tight. We're cropping through the bottom of the guy's foot on the bottom right hand of frame. And if it was just a little bit more balanced with some space equally around the action, I think it would have elevated the image.
Great, thank you so much. Well done for the highly commended, 78. And now, Johan, you can take a seat for a while, and we will bring back Francis. And next image, please.
The title of this image is Bravado, and our context statement: Coogee Jetty, South Perth is a magnet in summer for exuberant locals.
Score, please, Francis. And we have a silver with distinction, and 85. Now, how are you all feeling about that? We have a challenge from Mark. Thank you. There's actually 2 challenges, but you both have the same score of 90, and Mark was first. So that's going to be, we're going to start with Mark.
I jumped right on that button, and I'm so glad I have another judge up there with me. I was a little bit nervous that nobody would appreciate the power of this image and place it into that gold range. But I am a firm believer in this one. I know it breaks all the rules. We expect the main subject to be in focus, and he is totally out of focus. Yet that for me is the biggest part of the story. He has jumped up into this frame, caught the photographer, right off guard. He's seen this really amazing scene, he's concentrating on the jetty jumpers, and this guy has popped up in your face, right smash bang in the face. And I think part of the story that we're seeing as well is we're invited beyond just him. I think if he was all in focus, he would have dominated that frame and we would have lost that beautiful beach narrative that's unfolding in all of its glory behind every little bit of action that is going on is amazing. Australiana jetty, hot day. There is just so much icon about this image, and I just think we should just bring it up, set it into the gold range, because I think it really belongs there.
Thank you so much. Let's hear from Lisa. You scored 88.
I did, Mark. I think I've underscored. I think you've underscored. I think we've all underscored. And the longer I've looked at this and I've compared our judging, our matrix for judging, rubric, sorry, losing my words. Gold with distinction. This is benchmark work. Photographic excellence, near floor, for me, emotionally powerful and creatively groundbreaking. Mark, as you just said, it breaks the rules. Mark, you're going to be stuck at what were you, 90? I'm pushing for gold with distinction. I hope that I'm speaking on behalf of all of my fellow judges.
Okay, I'm going to allow everybody to speak on this one because this is worth a conversation. So we have, let's hear from Christopher.
Honestly, the energy contained in this photo is astronomical. There's almost a sense of threat, the dichotomy between the fat slobs looking over the window and him being the active human male, the youth, and he's coming into the vision. In motion pictures, the dichotomy is you cannot stuff up the sound. People will tolerate looking at a huge screen if it's slightly out of focus, if the emotion carries them, but if you stuff up the sound, they switch off because they've got nothing to reference to. Here, I just think it's so brilliant. It reminds me, Cornel Kappa once said, why were all the best photos, the most famous photos of his brothers, out of focus? And yet he always got the accolade because it had the emotion, it had the drama. This is just thinking so far out of the box, dead center, coming into the photo. You're not even sure if this guy's happy about being in photographed or he's with the photographer in the sense of, come on, take my photo. Come on, take my photo, which we all have when we go to photograph kids and that. They all want to be in the photo or they don't. This is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. I'm really glad that I didn't challenge because I'm not staying at 90.
Fantastic. Francis, you scored 81.
Yes, look, I probably, listening to all you guys, probably was a little bit harsh on it. I do enjoy that, obviously the hero in the middle is absolutely outstanding. I was distracted by the focus thing, that it's very soft. And I went straight to the water on his right side and found the focus there on these people that are also cut off at the bottom of the image. So I would have liked a little bit more space around him to see where he's peering from and the water beneath it. I do really enjoy the lines going down to the beach. I enjoyed all these aspects, as did the other judges. So I'm listening and I'm definitely going to come up in my score.
Thank you. Matthew?
Yeah, look, I am the other end of the spectrum in this image. And yes, we've discussed focus. That's still what is kind of bothering me because he is the largest element in the frame, and we've got a lot of depth of field in this image as well. Like those poles right beside him are sharp. So that slight miss of focus wouldn't have detracted from having him in focus and the poles and that lovely leading line of the jetty down into the beach behind. I just feel like that guy in front, even though he's hugely dynamic and he's jumping in our face, I'm getting train spotting vibes out of it. I'm seeing that character in it, but just with that slight loss of focus of him, he feels like he's not so much in the way, but he's trying to push us out of the way instead of being the picture. So, and yeah, that's where my eye is still sitting with it.
Okay. Before I come back to Mark, have I let everybody speak who need to speak? Wave your hand if you haven't. Okay. Mark, your right of reply.
Yeah, great. Look, I'm glad I get to speak to this image again, because there is so much to say about this. Compositionally, it's brilliant. We've got everything. All of the rules are followed. We've got the third with the bars at the bottom, are converging either side, left and right. We've got his head popping up through that horizon line, pressing him out, forcing him as the main subject matter. He is so close to this wide angle image. A lens would struggle to focus, let alone struggle with somebody coming at your face with such dramatic energy. And that's carried through with the strength of the iconic nature of it, the pointing finger, the direct eye contact, the energy of the water as well. We can see what's happening. We can see that, people are jumping off this jetty to create these splashes of action, and that highlight balances beautifully. It doesn't fall off into a patch of zero energy. It fills the frame, even though we have the subjects kind of cut off on the bottom right hand side. Every single quadrant of this image has dynamic action that grabs you and pulls you into it. The black and white has been handled just so beautifully as well. Minimum 90. I am kicking myself that I can't give it a 95. If you can give it a 95, I will thank you immensely.
Mark, you're going to stay on 90. I've just enjoyed this. I got lost in that discussion for a second, and all of the discussion about rule breaking, and it looks like that the subject's a bit of a rule breaker himself as well. So great discussion. Mark, you can stay on 90 and all of the other judges can rescore. We have a 92, a gold award. Congratulations. Wonderful discussion. All the judges clapping there. Congratulations to the entrant and all of the judges there for a fantastic discussion. Okay, Lisa, you can take Matthew, you can take a quick break and I'll bring James back on and we'll move to the next image.
The title of this image is Their Moment, Anzac Day 2026, and the context: the couple share the warmth of the moment and the recognition of his service.
And we have a silver 81. Could I have a word from Christopher, please, on this? You enjoyed this at 83?
Yes, he's won a lot of things apart from his medals in Korea. He's won a lot of service medals, Australian Order of Australia medals, things like that. But what the power here is, that classic story about the President of the United States was once asked by his wife, what would you have been if it hadn't been for me? And he said, I don't know. And she said, I know, you would have been a shop assistant until you met me. She's the power in this photo. She's the force behind it. And they look so similar. As people get older, they've become similar. It's like there's a split and there's a mirror. It's a gorgeously warm photo.
Thank you so much for that comment. And we will move now to placing, Lisa, you can step off for a second. And Matthew, you can come back on and we'll move to the next image, please.
This image is titled Pink Front, and our context: Pink Front activists in Tel Aviv lead a pro-democracy, anti-war protest against the government.
Then we have a silver 81. James, could you express your opinion on how this could be raised even further beyond its score?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, a challenging protest in a challenging environment. I would imagine for the photographer to capture here. So congratulations on that, and congratulations on the silver award. The color hues within this help lean into that narrative. They help tell that story. What I'd really encourage the photographer to do at these protests, right? It's they're very sort of like they're very clunky situations in terms of composition, in terms of background noise, and lots of people there and lots of things going on. I think if we were to really analyze this image, I think that there are certain dominant figures within the piece, right? And they all are front and center. Those four front and center are the ones that we're really drawing our eye to. When we actually go into the image, we can see the people in the background, but they're sort of moving around. They're not engaging, that kind of thing. When we then look at those four people, which one of those, or which couple of those are the ones that are really drawing our eye, are really exhibiting character, are really exhibiting something different? That figure on the left-hand side, cigarette hanging out of her mouth, hanging up a placard with one arm, just sort of nonchalantly with a little kick of the hip and the bum bag. She's great. I mean, that's narrative, that's storytelling, that's documentary. And I just feel that she's so strong that everything else, as it sort of comes down the side, is just sort of a generic protest documentary image. So when we're looking at these scenes, identify the characters, identify where the action's likely to happen, identify who's going to give you the best narrative, and then use the tools in your photographic arsenal to really focus in on those, draw our eye, and push the images up into the next levels.
Thank you, James. Mark, you're going to take a break, and Johan, you can come back on before we move to the next image.
The title of this image is Desensitize, and our context statement: Kyiv through resilience and humanity in a city shaped by conflict, April 2026.
We have a silver 80 award. Well done to the entrant. And Christopher, would you like to comment on this? You really enjoyed this at 82?
Yes, I love walking through cemeteries to see if anyone's died. It's my age. And I'm looking at these photos and it reminds me of what's happening over there. And you've done it very well. I just wish it was more in focus, in fact, because as you look at the date of birth, date of passing, it's brilliant to see that it's not a young man's war. It's shared by your population. Virtually every generation's there. I'm looking for someone born in the 50s like me, and I surely would find it if it was just a little sharper, because I'm seeing normal human beings who are compelled to fight. And so they're not going to be all conscript young people. They're going to be all the ranges of ages, all the occupations. And I'm seeing that here, but just a little bit sharper.
Fantastic, thank you. And congratulations to the entrant on that 80 silver award. Can we have Christopher, you can take a break, and we'll bring Lisa back on for the next image.
The title of this image is Goat Herders, Afghanistan, and there is no supplied context statement.
And we have very tight scoring across the range and a silver 81. Johan, you enjoyed this at 81 right there. Would you like to speak?
Yes. There's a sense of scale here that's just phenomenal. And it makes you realize how insignificant some of the things that people do are, but it also makes you think about how important those things are. To elevate this image, I would have wanted to have perhaps a slightly a better sharpness in there, because as you go in, you lose some of the details. And I would like to have seen it. I know it's pretty hard to get them to move, but just a little bit further away from the edge of the water there would have just sort of made it a little bit stronger within the image. But there's so much drama in here, and it's very successful. And congratulations on the silver, because it's well earned. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Silver 81. And could we have Francis off, and we will bring Mark back on? And next image, please.
The title of this image is Flex 2025, and our context statement, Omen, flexing her grill in the locker room, Perth, Western Australia.
And we have a highly commended of 79. Congratulations. Matthew, would you like to comment?
Oh, look, a fabulous use of some technique in a shallow depth of field just to bring us straight into that star and all of the details that are going on around this person and how they present themselves to the world. It's really nicely captured and well created. I think to bring it up into that silver range. There's just some brightness in those fingers that could be brought down a little bit to bring us further into the center of that image.
Great, thank you very much. Congratulations on the highly commended on this image. And I will ask James to step off and Christopher to come back on, and we will move to our final image.
The title of this image is Desensitized, and its context, Kyiv through resilience and humanity in a city shaped by conflict, April 2026.
Score, please, Christopher. Okay, we have a silver 82. Is everybody happy with that? And we have a challenge from Mark, who scored 86. Take it away, Mark.
Look, so we've seen a series of these images, and what the context statement just, it marries in so beautifully with this image. And on top of that, we've got a really strong composition, the lead through to that normalizing of life, but from this amazingly detailed and horrifically overwhelming number of lives represented in this homage you know, and we have the couple walking. They've got what looks like shopping bags. They're heading down to that area where we've got festoon lights and people gathering. This is the normalization of such, you know, overwhelming sorrow in a society. And I think, you know, there's a treatment to this image that is really nice. I'm enjoying the lack of contrast and almost a lack of black point. It matches the moody, muted tones of the light. It all comes together in this image for this entrant, and I'd like to just see it come up into the silver with distinction range, because I think it's got it all going on, narrative, composition, treatment, context statement matches in beautifully. So yeah, 3 more points is what I'm asking, guys.
Thank you. Johan, would you like to speak on this one?
I'd love to. Yeah, okay, so initially I gave this an 81, and I'm so pleased, Mark, that you've given us the time to linger on this. The thing that I didn't like about it is now one of its strengths, and you brought it up. It was the murkiness of it that kind of made me feel, oh, it could have been done so much better in another way. But the murkiness is part of it. It's about the grimy, the sad, the tragic, without it being overworked. And then there's this wonderful solitude, and there's this wonderful composition where you've got the solitary sort of feeling of this couple, sort of almost distant but connected to all of this because their bodies are touching the frame of the memorial. The side of the flagpole, which gives you the sense of loyalty and commitment to country and also many things. And then you keep going back to the devastation of the loss of life. You know, even the tree is lost, you know, there's no leaves on it. So it's got this barren skeletal feeling to it. It's powerful. I feel I seriously underscored this at 81. So Mark, you have my full support.
Fantastic. What a great response there from the judge. Christopher, can I hear from you, please?
Yeah, this harkens back to Soviet iconology, the Hill of Crosses in Lithuania. They just jammed those crosses on top of each other and said, stuff you, we're a religious country, put up with it. Here it's dead flags, and dead flags in themselves have a certain iconography. You know, you've got a multitude of dead flags just not blowing. There's no glory in it. They're past. There is no afterlife. These people have left the planet and they've sacrificed everything. There's just so many of them. As I said, it reminds me of the Hill of Crosses in Lithuania, that defiance of how many people have an opinion. In this case, how many people have died. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I'm going up.
Well, what a great challenge this was. The passion and the knowledge. I've just learned so much, by the way. It's an honor to be here. So, Mark, you're going to stay. Write a reply. Sorry, nearly forgot. Look, you were ready to go for me then, weren't you? Mark.
Yeah, look, I'm not going to say much more, except for I think, you know, we've covered off the power. And I think Johannes kind of touched on it, but I just want to really bring up like the transient point where they are almost past the memorial to normality. The narrative quality here is just so strong, and I'm so glad that I've got support. I feel confident that we can get it over the line. I'd love to see it get 85 or beyond, and just push it into the silver distinction range. Thanks, judges.
Thank you, Mark. You're going to stay at 86. Judges, please rescore. What a wonderful way to end the session. We have a silver with distinction, and not even just an 85, it's an 86. So well done, judges. That was our final image, and I would like to thank you judges for sharing your expertise, your skill, your knowledge, your passion, and your respect for each other. It's been a joy to behold. And thanks also to Mel for being our scribe. And with that, I'm going to hand you over to Chris.
Thanks, Sarah. And thanks, everyone. We've just been through 25 categories worth of judging, which is pretty incredible. So I can't think of another time when I've seen so many different categories and such a variety streamed for everyone to go and check out. I want to say a couple of thank yous since this is our last one. Thank you to our panel mentors. We have had a great selection of panel mentors who have helped to bring our panels to life. So Robin Campbell, Tony Hewitt, Scott Johnson, Kelly Brown, Belinda Richards, Adam Horgan, and of course, Sarah Edmonds tonight, who has the most calm voice on the planet. So it's very restful listening to her. So thanks all the panel mentors for your really hard work. I need to huge props to the team that brings this to you every single night. So Nathan Bingham has been our broadcast producer for every single one of these. He's the one who makes sure that these run smoothly, that the commercial plays, that even when we're all yapping in the Zoom meeting before we start, he tells us, quiet, we got 30 seconds. He gets in there and he makes us run so smoothly. And when something goes wrong, he is on it. So thank you, Nathan, for your hard work. Mel Sinclair, you have been the most tremendous scribe. You probably 20 of the 25 categories you've been the scribe and put in such an effort with some really difficult things to pronounce. And she does practice this, everyone, because there are some phrases, if you get them wrong, I'm not going to finish my sentence. Anyway, thank you, Mel. That's really hard work. And Daniel, the amount, people at home have no idea of the amount of work that Daniel puts in, aside from being our competition director. He is constantly tuning and tweaking the software that we see as panel mentors or scribes or judges to make it more efficient and faster and able to get out of the way so that we can just judge your images and give them the score and the respect and the conversation they deserve. Thank you, Daniel, for making everything so easy.
You're welcome. And thank you, Chris. I mean, Chris here, he's panel mentored a bunch of them. He's the one who's responsible for gathering all these wonderful people here and so many wonderful panels. We've just had such a fantastic array of amazing judges this year, and that is all thanks to Chris. Fantastic job. Thank you.
You're not meant to break you when I'm doing that. This is not about me. I do want to thank our panel of judges. We have 60 judges this year from all over the world. So Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Sweden, Turkey, the US, Italy. So the group of judges we've brought together has just been incredible. They've all put in so much effort. They've put up with training videos from me like you wouldn't believe. And they've spent time and they've done this to talk about your images and experience them. So to all of the judges that have judged this year, thank you so much. You're probably going to hear this from me again one more time on the 13th of August, which is our closing awards ceremony. So that is a ceremony where you got to tune in for this because we're going to be talking about all the people that scored laureate awards, which is a new thing for us this year. We're going to be thanking a whole bunch of people again. And of course, we're going to be talking about the Australian first, second, and third place for each category, the international first place for each category, our division placers and winners, and then our overall Australian and international winners as well. And over the coming days, we're going to be doing some closed door discussions to judge those. All of that will be revealed on the 13th of August, and then your scores will be available in your portal the next day. And if you've paid for comments, they'll be available at the end of August. We got to give some judges some more time for those. But yeah, the 13th of August is the day to be here. So make sure you come in to the awards ceremony for that. Enough from me. Thank you, everyone, for an incredible set of live judging for the Australian Photographic Prize. I hope that if you've been watching it, you've enjoyed it. And we will definitely be seeing you again next year. So thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
wow, photographing the way I do, but with my colors, this will change everything.
I got to see each frame, each position of its wing, and they're so beautiful that I have never seen before.
Being able to move quickly and working at my brain's pace and getting those shots in the moment. Having this camera allows you to go out and create the way you want to create.
Until you use it, you cannot even imagine what you have missed.
It's something I've never seen before in my entire life. It's something totally different.
Nikon Z6 III. Outperform.
Introducing ISO Color Edge. Precision is essential for any professional working with images. Whether you're an artist, a retoucher, or a visual effects specialist, you need to know that what you see at the start of a project is precisely what you'll get at the end. Color Edge monitors give consistent, reliable accuracy that guarantee no surprises within your color workflow. So what you see in real life is what you see on screen, and what you see on screen is what you see in real life. That's precisely why professionals all over the world trust ISO Color Edge for their image creation. ISO Color Edge. Discover living, breathing color.
I'm Mark Rosetto from the Professional Photography Business Network.
A vibrant community from all around the world who's here to supercharge your business growth.
This is not an expensive one-size-fits-all course.
PPBN is a network,
An online educational platform with training and resources to suit everyone.
from those just starting out to the seasoned pros.
You can tailor your journey to suit your individual business needs and challenges, all at your own pace.
And there's new content added every week. But success is only part of the experience.
To us, community is super important, as we all know business can be lonely.
So join us today. PPBN is your unfair advantage. Let's do this.